What in the world is going on over there in Gainesville? We're going to talk about it, but send a prayer up for your Gator fan friends, or don't, because watching those Lizards struggle has always been a favorite pastime of mine. But guys are jumping ship like crazy, and it is fun to watch if you're an FSU fan. This week, UF has lost 3 coaches from their on-field staff, and we're going to talk about why that's a terrible thing for them in their program and why it ultimately helps FSU. At the end of the video, we're going to give away some free merchandise to the Battle's End. The Collective launched their website today, and now you can donate, which again, we'll talk about later on in the video. But if you want some free swag, either stick around or fast forward to the end so we can get you entered to win some gear from them. First up, UF lost their defensive coordinator, Patrick Toney. Now, UF's defense wasn't good last year. I'm not going to pretend like it was. Of their 3 units, it was definitely the worst. Special teams, a close second. Offense did some good things at times. But UF's defense was not good. Most of that was for 2 reasons. Number one, the talent on the roster. Highly recruited, a lot of talent in the recruiting rankings, but just hadn't been developed. Under Mullen, Grantham there over the last few years, it kind of wrecked that. And the defensive talent over there just wasn't very good. The other side of that is that it takes time to install a new system. You remember Fuller when he first got here, a defense that was well into the 50s and 60s, improved a little bit, and now this last year, we've gotten it into that 20 range. It just takes time. That's what most defensive coordinators struggle with, the start at the beginning. And a lot of times, coaches aren't able to catch up in time for when they need to eventually produce on the field. It was able to happen this year in Tallahassee, and Toney would have gotten better in Gainesville, without a doubt. Their fans hated him at times through the year, but he absolutely would have been better this season in Gainesville. In 2023, they haven't really taken a massive step to upgrade that talent in any way. They had a nice recruiting class overall, a lot of nice skill players, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but I don't think there's anybody on that defense that just steps out at you and says, oh, that's a day one instant impact type guy. Could have some of those guys making an impact later on in the year for UF, but I don't think that they're going to upgrade and improve that talent to any significant way. The other big problem is that they didn't really add anybody on defense that's a major threat through the portal. They didn't add guys like a Gilbert Edmond or a Fintrell Cypress or some of those guys, Daryl Jackson, that Florida State was able to add. And so I think Florida's going to struggle on that defensive side because they didn't really improve the talent that much. The other big problem is it's a brand new system. Again, they're bringing in a new defensive coordinator that's going to take time to adjust. The defense is going to take time to get on the right track, and I think that's going to be a big problem for the Gators. What about the actual hire they made at that defensive coordinator spot? Well, let's talk about it right after we tell you guys about our friends over at Gramco. TJ25 is the code. You guys know it. We tell you all the time. But you can go to thegramco.com right now. We'll put the link above. We'll put it in the description. And you can get the best when it comes to Delta 8 products, whether you're looking for gummies, hard candies, you want a quick mix that you can mix into your drinks and recipes. They've got it all. Vapes, pre-rolls, whatever you're looking for, Gramco has you covered. Go to thegramco.com right now. If you've not tried them, I've got a great deal for you. A 4-count of gummies. It's a sampler pack of all 4 flavors. Tropical punch, blue raspberry, green apple, and watermelon. You try all of them. With TJ25, it's $6. If you don't like it, let me know and I'll refund your $6. Go to thegramco.com. Great people to work with. Use TJ25 for 25% off. Ultimately, UF made a very mediocre hire. Austin Armstrong recently took a job last month as a linebackers coach for Alabama. But he never got to coach there. He was gone less than a month later. Previous to Alabama, he was at Southern Miss, and they were very, very average. I know Southern Miss is not a team that people would expect to have an incredible defense or anything like that. The talent level there is just okay. But opponent adjusted, they had a efficiency as far as defensive scoring at number 77 in all of FBS. Their explosive play index was number 91. Very pedestrian. Very average when you look at their opponents, the opponent-adjusted analytics. Guy's just okay. He may prove to be fine, but I don't think they made any kind of a massive splash hire here. They're hoping a group of 5 guy that Billy worked with at Louisiana can work out and be good. We'll see. Time will tell. But a guy that's adjusting a new system and his first taste of SEC football, I don't know. Good luck to you, Gators. Next up, UF lost their tight ends coach, who bolted to take a job with Toney and the Cardinals. And then today, their wide receiver coach, who was an excellent recruiter and developer, also left to take another job. UF's wide receiver class in 2023 was really nice, and they did a great job of pulling in elite skill players on the outside. Florida State battled their tails off until the end to try and get a kid named Andy Jean. They weren't able to get him, and Florida did land him, but he wasn't the only one. They pulled in some really nice talent out there. You have to wonder if those wide receivers now regret that decision, and if guys have some of that regret because their coach is gone. UF is now replacing a third of their staff just 2 weeks before the spring. Princely Umanmielen, a defender for Florida this year, tweeted, and then later deleted, of course, "Another year, another playbook," with a crying emoji. There's real frustration right now in Gainesville, and it's carrying over from not only the fan base, but to the locker room. They were not a good defensive unit again last year, and that's going to take another step backward, having to learn a new system yet again. We've talked about this, but UF has an incredibly difficult schedule. They're going to be dogs to Florida State, Georgia, Utah, LSU, and maybe even Tennessee. They're going to be in dog fights with teams like Missouri and Kentucky and South Carolina. This is not going to be easy, but when you compound that by having to basically start over on defense and replace a third of your staff, I just don't see how this is going to bode very well for Billy Napier and the Gators. Meanwhile, let's look at what's going on in Tallahassee. Mike Norvell has more consistency from a roster and coaching staff perspective than he's ever had. We already told you that Florida State brings back the most returning production in all of college football, and Florida's down in the hundreds, bringing back just over 50% of last year's production. They're also bringing back only about 2/3 of their staff, where Florida State brings back 100% of their staff. Florida fans will try and flex and say, we have coaches that are taking better jobs or going to the NFL or doing this, that, and the other. And that sounds great, but that's just like flexing Anthony Richardson going top 10 overall. Florida had 3 coaches go to the NFL and a top 10 overall pick and couldn't even sniff 500. That's embarrassing, and it says a lot about the program there in Gainesville. Florida and Florida State are also going to be in some major recruiting battles this year. And this is the year, without a doubt, mark it down, that Florida State will out-recruit Florida at the high school level. They've already been doing it in the portal. I know we've been frustrated the last couple of years with recruiting results, but I'm telling you, mark it down, screenshot it, doesn't matter. Recruiting will take the upturn this year, and it'll be the year that Mike Norvell out-recruits Billy Napier. Here's how I want to finish today. I want to give back. The Battles Inn launched the ability to donate today and support FSU student athletes, and I want to encourage you to go to their website and check them out. I'm also going to be giving away some of their merchandise, and here's how we're going to do it. I can't check and see if you're a subscriber. I can't check and see if you're giving to them or not. But if you'll just comment down below, "The Battles End," it'll help search. It'll help people get introduced to what they're doing, and we'll spread the word and spread the message of what they've got going on. I encourage you to go sign up. I encourage you to go donate. But at the very least, if you'd like to win some swag, if you'd like to win some merch off their website, I'll pick 2 people that comment "The Battles In" below. Make sure you're subscribed here so that I can make sure that I get the email about your comment. But go ahead, subscribe below, say "The Battles In" a comment, and we'll get you entered to win. Appreciate Ingram Smith and all the hard work he does for the Battles Inn. We'll talk about them more in an upcoming video series. If you want to hear more about us ragging on the Gators, you can watch this video right here about how wide the gap is between Florida and Florida State.